everybody, and thank you so much for coming back to the Art Life YouTube channel. I'm here today in Melbourne's 5th lockdown, so us Victorians are getting pretty good at hanging out at home, so hopefully some of these lessons are a good relief from boredom, I suppose, for those people who are stuck in lockdown like me. Today I'm going to guide you through a really fun lesson. It's a rainy day lesson inspired by the weather normally in Melbourne, however it's nice and sunny right now. Now this task is all about detail, and if you love drawing, this is for you, because it's all about adding as much detail, line drawings and things like that to our background, and then using a little bit of paper and origami to create a really cool umbrella on top. So come with me and I'll show you how to create something like this right now. For this rainy day inspired task is 2 pieces of paper. Now, the 2 pieces of paper can be coloured, they can be just white, they can be a mixture of coloured and white. It's completely up to you what colours you have and what you have available at home in the classroom. I'm going to do my work with a piece of grey paper and a piece of white paper today, but obviously yours might look different depending on your colour choices. Now you also only need just a black pen. If you have coloured markers, you may choose to use those instead if you prefer. You'll also need a little bit of glue and some scissors. So let's set up your craft station with these things and we can get started on our rainy day activity. The first thing we're going to do is create our background. Now I have a piece of A4 white paper here and we're going to work in portrait orientation, so nice and tall like this. And we're just going to use our black marker, or again coloured markers if you prefer to add a bit more colour, to create a bit of a rainy day background. Now we need to brainstorm and have a think about, if you were to go outside, maybe on a day like today in Melbourne, what might you see in the winter time? Now, where I am at the moment, I can see some pretty dark, grey clouds. They're really thick clouds. They're not the type that the sun goes behind for a minute. They're big ones. And they're full of water, ready to pour down on us at the moment. So you can draw some clouds if you wish. Maybe you can think of something else might be around. Now I'm going to take some time to draw some raindrops. Not just 1 or 2 raindrops. I'm going to fill most of my background full of raindrops. Now you can draw raindrops in lots and lots of different ways. You could draw a raindrop just a line like I did it. You could draw raindrops like this, more like tears, or even ones that are kind of coloured in. They really stand out a bit. You could draw them on an angle, or you could draw them straight like this. You could draw them thick. You can draw them tiny. There's lots and lots of different ways that you can draw rain, and you might have a go at doing lots of different types actually in your background, because you've got a big space to fill full of rain. So we want to make it very clear in our picture that it is raining today. So this might take a bit of patience to get lots and lots of raindrops to fill the middle part of your paper here. You might even choose to do a lightning strike. Now if you start to get lazy and your rain starts to look like this, I suggest that you stop, take a break and come back, just because your artwork is not going to look your best if you're rushing and you do rain like this. Rain doesn't really look like that. It comes down quite consistently like this. So take this chance just to enjoy drawing. It can be quite a mindful, relaxing exercise, doing something repetitive like this. Now today you might recognise that the lesson is all about detail. I'm doing lots and lots and lots of details, and it's going to make my artwork really interesting because of the amount of information I'm putting into it. Now, that's not just with the raindrops. I'm also going to go in and add more detail to my clouds and consider some different line designs that you could do in your clouds to make them more detailed. So today we're using pattern, we're using lines, we're taking our time to make sure these are neat and careful rather than rushed. And line work like this takes time. If you've ever seen stuff like this on the internet, it does take a lot of effort. So I've done my repetitive pattern here to make this cloud kind of stand out, just doing these arches. In this cloud here, I might do some spirals. And you might choose to do something a little bit different to make your clouds really detailed. What I'm doing here is I'm just getting a thicker black texture and going over my original cloud lines. You see that really helps them to stand out, because once you add all that detail, it kind of got lost in all the lines. So I just wanted them to stand out just that little bit, so that we know what they are. Sometimes if we add lots of lines, things can get a bit confusing. So that's just what I've done, and you might choose to make those lines a bit more bold and obvious if you choose. Now, once you've done your rain, I'm still going a little bit with my rain. What you're going to do is now suggest what might be happening on the ground. Now, have a think. When the rain is pouring down, what do you get on the ground? What might you need gumboots for? That's right, a puddle. So I'm going to do a few different puddles down here, just to suggest that my ground is really, really wet. Now I'm going to make those lines stand out because I'm about to add more detail to my puddles by adding some repetitive lines again. Tasks like this takes patience, doesn't it? Because doing the same thing over and over does take some time and perseverance, which they stand out nicely. And I'm going to do a repetitive kind of ripple effect around the outside of my puddle. And I promise this drawing will make sense very shortly. There we go. So I've just repeated my line there, and I might do the same here. There, so that's my background done. Remember, detail is the main thing we're looking at today, so I took lots of time to fill the entire space with lines. The next thing we're going to do is get our second piece of paper. Again, it can be white, that's completely fine, but what I'd like you to do, if you have an A4 piece of paper, is cut it in half. We're just working with A5 today, so we just want a small piece of paper, just like this one here. While your paper is in landscape, we're going to fold it in half this way. So I've just done a little pinch right here. All right, when we open it, you can see it there. I'm then going to cut from this corner to this pinch. If you prefer to draw a line to help you with that, you can choose to do that. So from my little pinch, straight as I can to my corner. And I'm going to repeat that and go to the other side to make a triangle. Before we do anything else, we are going to add some line designs to our work here. The type of line designs you might choose to do firstly, I think it's a good idea to section your work. We're going to work in an upside down triangle just like this. I'm going to put a scrap piece of paper underneath because I don't want to get my permanent marker on my bench. But I'm just going to section my work with some different lines. I'm going to start at the point, I'm going to work my way up. Alright, got some straight lines going on. You can do wavy ones. You can just do straight lines all the way up if you prefer, like this. You can use a ruler if you have it. The zigzag looks pretty cool. So I've sectioned my work, as you can see here, with some different types of lines, but I'm not done yet. Again, we want to add some detail. Detail could be maybe making some lines thicker. So you could use a bit of a thicker pen to make some lines stand out more than others. You could choose to add extra details, shapes, dots, lines, things like that to decorate just in an abstract kind of way. Again, it takes time and patience, but you'll be rewarded with a really cool artwork at the end. Now, obviously I've stuck within a monochromatic kind of color scheme, which means I've stayed within the black and white and gray kind of realm. However, as I said earlier, you could use some coloring materials if you have them to decorate your triangle in a colorful kind of way. You could color in different sections. You could make patterns with all different colors. You don't have to do exactly what I've done. So now that I've added detail to my triangle, you can continue and add as much detail as you like. We're going to turn this into something. We're going to do some folding first. So folding can be a bit tricky, but try to take your time and follow these steps. So, working with our triangle facing down, we're going to fold this in half. As best you can, try to make those points touch and have a nice strong fold right in the middle of your triangle, vertically down like that. Now, we're going to do what's called a zigzag. A zigzag fold essentially means that you're going one way and then you're folding another way. I'm folding toward the table, now I'm folding toward me. Fold toward the table, fold toward me. Fold toward the table, fold toward me. And when you do that, it creates a zigzag. You know you've done it incorrectly if you're just folding around and around the same way and it ends up like this. So you need to make sure that you're taking turns and swapping, making sure you're going one way and then the other, one way then the other. So you might choose to practice that on a scrap piece of paper first if you prefer, because we're about to do that with our triangle, which is a trickier shape. So starting with my middle fold, I'm going to fold this one way. All right, I'm folding it that way. Now I'm going to fold it the other way. Bring it in. Nice small folds if you can. And then out and fold. In, then fold. Out, then fold. And it's getting smaller and more fiddly as I get to that last point, but it should look something like this. Sort of starting to look like a paper aeroplane. And I'm going to repeat that process on the other side. All right, so I'm starting there, folding out, folding in, folding out. Now you don't want to destroy your good copy, which is why a practice piece is definitely suggested. Folding in, folding out, folding in. There. It should all sort of come together into a nice little point like that. Oop. And when we open it, it should look like that. Anyone have an idea about what it could be on our rainy day picture? Hopefully when you stick it down, you can actually make it look a little bit three-dimensional. So all I'm going to do is actually glue down the last 2 tabs on my points here. I'm going to put glue here, and I'm going to put glue here, just there and there. All right, lots of glue, but just on those tabs. And when I stick it down, I want the point to go in my puddle, and the 2 bits of glue, I'm going to push them down and try to make my shape sit up in a three-dimensional way. So you can see there, it's actually popping out from the page. Now, if you haven't guessed yet, it's an umbrella. And so we need one last detail to make it look like an umbrella, don't we? We need the hook coming up like this. So I'm going to draw my hook. You might choose to do this in pencil first. Coming up like that. Now we want it to stand out from our detailed background, so I'm going to make it nice and thick and bold. Colour it in. It's a bit tricky, try to get into under here as far as you can. Make it nice and neat. And you are done with your rainy day detailed picture. Three-dimensional rainy day picture.
So it's as simple as that. I really hope you were able to follow the steps, add as much detail and care as possible to create something that you're happy with and something that you would be proud to put up in your home. Please make sure that you like, subscribe and comment below, because it really helps me out to create some more videos for you in the future. Have an awesome day. See you later.